Welcome back to my channel. Today we will learn about the issue that is shaking up the Forrester family and sending shockwaves through CBS's The Bold and the Beautiful. This time, the drama unfolds around a decades-old secret, long buried and never spoken of, until now. Eric Forrester, determined to reunite Ridge and Brooke, sets into motion a series of events that will unravel Taylor's past and change the lives of everyone involved. Eric Forrester has always believed that Ridge belongs with Brooke. No matter how many times Ridge and Brooke have split, and no matter how many times Ridge has turned to Taylor, Eric's conviction has never wavered. For Eric, Ridge and Brooke are soulmates, meant to be together despite their complicated history. He sees Taylor as an obstacle standing in the way of that destiny. And now, he's done waiting for things to work themselves out. Determined to take action, Eric hires a private investigator to dig deep into Taylor's past, especially her time abroad. Eric wants something concrete, something that will make Ridge think twice about his future with Taylor. He doesn't expect what the investigator eventually finds. The report that lands on Eric's desk is shocking. 2 decades ago, during a brief breakup between Ridge and Taylor, Taylor had a relationship with another man. Not only that, she became pregnant and gave birth to a child. The child, a boy, was never publicly acknowledged. Taylor arranged for him to be placed in an orphanage and has secretly sent money for his care ever since, but she has never claimed him as her own. She has kept this child a secret from everyone, including Ridge. Eric is stunned. The report includes photos, legal documents, wire transfers, and private records. The child, now grown, is no longer in an orphanage. In fact, he's living in Los Angeles, working at Il Giardino, the popular restaurant owned by Deacon Sharp. His name is Remy. A polite, unassuming young man with no knowledge of who his real mother is. Eric hesitates for only a moment before handing the entire file over to Ridge. He knows this could destroy Ridge's relationship with Taylor, but in his heart, he believes that the truth must come out, and that Brooke and Ridge deserve another chance. When Ridge opens the file and reads through the pages, he is blindsided. Shock gives way to anger. He confronts Taylor immediately, unable to understand how she could keep such a secret from him. The betrayal hits hard, not just because Taylor lied, but because she withheld something so significant, something that involved a human life. Taylor tries to explain, but her voice breaks. She never meant to hurt anyone. She had kept the pregnancy a secret out of fear, shame, and confusion. She was young, and the breakup with Ridge had left her devastated. The man she was with during that time, Nick Marone, was never told about the pregnancy. Taylor made the decision alone. When the baby was born, she felt unprepared to raise him and arranged for him to be placed in a safe facility. Over the years, she sent money anonymously, ensuring he had what he needed, but she never found the courage to reveal the truth. Ridge is overwhelmed. Not only has Taylor kept a son hidden for 20 years, but the child's father is Nick Marone, a man Ridge has a complicated and bitter history with. Years ago, Nick was involved with both Brooke and Taylor, creating a rivalry that nearly destroyed Ridge more than once. To hear his name again now, tied to a child Taylor bore in secret, reopens old wounds. Ridge demands answers. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell him? Why didn't you tell Remy? Taylor, sobbing, admits she was afraid. Afraid of what Ridge would think. Afraid Nick would come back into her life. Afraid that Remy would reject her if she suddenly appeared, 20 years too late, claiming to be his mother. I thought I was doing what was best, she says. I thought keeping him at a distance would protect everyone. But Ridge doesn't buy it. He feels betrayed. You always talked about honesty, he says. You made me feel guilty for not being open with my feelings. And yet you've been hiding a son all this time. As the truth spreads, the Forrester family is left reeling. Brooke hears about it and is stunned, though she's not surprised that Eric was behind the investigation. She knows him well enough to see his fingerprints on this. But even Brooke doesn't gloat. She understands the pain of secrets, and she recognizes that what Taylor did, while deeply flawed, came from a place of fear and vulnerability. Meanwhile, at Il Giardino, Remy remains unaware of the storm his existence has triggered. He works hard, gets along well with Deacon and the staff, and lives a simple, quiet life. He has no idea he's the biological son of Taylor Hayes, or that his father is Nick Marone. Eric considers telling Remy himself, but Ridge insists that it has to come from Taylor. It's her secret. Her responsibility. Taylor struggles with what to do. She visits Remy at the restaurant several times, always finding an excuse to leave before saying anything meaningful. She watches him from a distance, taking in his features, his expressions, the way he carries himself. She sees bits of herself in him, and bits of Nick too. The guilt crushes her. Eventually, she asks Deacon for help. She tells him the truth, in confidence, and asks for his guidance. Deacon is shocked, but he listens. He tells her she owes Remy the truth. Whatever you think you're protecting him from, Deacon says, you're not. The worst thing you can do now is stay silent. Taylor finally musters the courage to approach Remy one evening after his shift. She asks to speak with him privately. He's confused but polite, sensing her nervousness. They sit down, and she begins. She tells him the truth, slowly, carefully, pausing often to let him process. At first, Remy thinks it's a cruel joke. But Taylor shows him the documents, the photos, the letters she never sent. She tells him about Nick, about the time in her life when she felt lost, and how she made the choice to give him a better future from the shadows. Remy listens in stunned silence. When she finishes, he doesn't say anything. He walks out of the restaurant and disappears into the night. Taylor returns home, shattered. Ridge watches from afar. His feelings toward Taylor remain conflicted. He's still hurt, but he sees her trying. He sees the pain in her eyes and the toll this secret has taken on her. He doesn't know if their relationship can survive, but he doesn't dismiss the years they've shared, or the children they've raised together. For now, he keeps his distance, unsure of what comes next. Remy returns a few days later. He sits down with Taylor, still angry but calmer. He asks questions. About her. About Nick. About why she never tried to be a mother to him. Taylor answers honestly, holding nothing back. The conversation is painful, raw, and filled with moments of silence. But it ends with a glimmer of understanding. Remy agrees to meet Nick. Ridge contacts Nick and arranges a quiet meeting. Nick, stunned to learn he has a 20-year-old son, is emotional but open. The two men sit down, unsure of each other at first. But something unspoken passes between them, a recognition, a connection. As time goes on, Remy begins to integrate slowly into the extended family. Steffi and Thomas meet him and are welcoming. Eric, though the architect behind the revelation, keeps a respectful distance. He watches from the background, satisfied that Ridge and Brooke are drawing closer again, but also realizing that his actions, while effective, caused pain he didn't fully anticipate. Ridge, for his part, has stepped away from Taylor. Their relationship is on indefinite hold. He's spending more time with Brooke, leaning on her for emotional support. Brooke isn't rushing him, but the connection between them is undeniable. It's quiet, steady, and without pressure. She doesn't say it aloud, but she hopes this time, they'll find their way back, for good. As for Taylor, she's focused on building a relationship with Remy. It won't be easy, and it won't be quick, but she's determined to try. She knows she made mistakes, but she's also learned that running from the past only gives it more power. Now, she wants to face it head-on. The story of Taylor's secret child has changed the Forrester family forever. Trust has been broken, relationships tested, and identities reshaped. But in the world of the bold and the beautiful, it's through these very storms that characters grow, reconcile, and rebuild. Next, we will dive deep into the electrifying events that unfolded at Forrester Creations during the unforgettable April 28 fashion show. What was meant to be a celebration of style and innovation turned into a whirlwind of family drama, hidden agendas, and rekindled passions. Eric Forrester's bold decision to thrust Brooke Logan into the spotlight alongside Ridge Forrester created a ripple effect of emotions, rivalries, and unexpected connections that are sure to keep fans on the edge of their seats. Let's unpack the layers of this jaw-dropping event, from the runway spectacle to the backstage intrigue, with fresh insights and added details that paint a vivid picture of the chaos at Forrester Creations. The runway bombshell, Eric's masterful gambit. The fashion show was poised to be a defining moment for Forrester Creations, a chance to reclaim their spot at the pinnacle of the industry after a string of recent controversies. But no one could have predicted the shockwave that hit when Brooke Logan, clad in a breathtaking showstopper gown of shimmering sapphire and cascading silk, stepped onto the runway arm-in-arm with Ridge Forrester. The crowd erupted in gasps and applause, cameras flashing as the former power couple commanded the stage with an electric chemistry that hadn't faded despite years of turmoil. Behind this stunning moment was none other than Eric Forrester himself, the patriarch who admitted with a mischievous glint in his eye that he had meticulously planned Brooke's return to the spotlight. It was daring, it was dazzling, it was pure Brooke, he proclaimed to the gathered family, his voice brimming with pride as he watched the social media frenzy unfold with viral clips and fan edits of the duo dominating the internet. Eric revealed to a close confidant later that his strategy was twofold: to redirect attention from the company's recent PR missteps like a botched product launch that had critics buzzing, and to remind the world of Forrester's legacy through the iconic pairing of Brooke and Ridge. But while the public ate it up, labeling the moment timeless romance, the internal fallout was immediate. Steffi Forrester, standing off to the side with a clenched jaw, could barely contain her fury at her grandfather's audacious move, her eyes narrowing each time a reporter gushed over the destined duo. Her frustration wasn't just about the spotlight being stolen, it was a stark reminder of a past she'd fought hard to leave behind, where Brooke's presence always seemed to eclipse her mother, Taylor Hayes. Steffi and Taylor, a double dose of displeasure. Steffi's irritation was palpable as she navigated the post-show chaos, brushing off journalists who pressed for comments on the showstopper gown with curt responses like, "It's just fashion, nothing more." But her facade cracked when she vented to Taylor in a private corner of the venue, her words dripping with exasperation. "Brooke always has to make everything about herself, always the star, no matter who gets hurt." This sentiment echoed decades of rivalry, a bitter thread woven into the fabric of the Forrester family tapestry. Taylor, ever the composed psychiatrist, nodded in understanding but couldn't hide her own discomfort, especially after an odd incident earlier that day. She confessed to Steffi that she'd found herself trapped in a storage vault with Brooke just hours before the show, a bizarre mishap involving a jammed lock and a frantic call for help. While Taylor swore it was an accident, claiming she'd been retrieving archived designs when Brooke stumbled in to grab accessories, the timing felt suspiciously convenient. Some whispers among the staff suggested Taylor might have sensed Eric's plan and confronted Brooke, only for their clash to be interrupted by the faulty door. Whether by design or sheer bad luck, the incident left Taylor rattled, her usual calm demeanor fraying at the edges as she watched Brooke steal the show with Ridge. Adding fuel to the fire, Taylor overheard a junior designer gossiping about how Brooke had looked radiant, like she belonged next to Ridge, a comment that stung more than she let on. The mother-daughter duo now faces an uphill battle, grappling with Eric's apparent favoritism and the ghosts of a love triangle that refuses to stay buried. Brooke's emotional revival and Eric's matchmaking mischief. For Brooke Logan, the runway wasn't just a professional triumph, it was a deeply personal awakening. In a quiet moment with Eric after the show, she admitted with a trembling voice that strutting down that catwalk with Ridge had reignited a spark she thought was long extinguished. "I felt the magic come alive again, Eric," she confided, her eyes misty with nostalgia as she recalled the warmth of Ridge's smile under the blinding lights. She went on to describe how the weight of the gown, the roar of the crowd, and Ridge's steady arm linked with hers made her feel more cherished and beautiful than I have in years. Eric, ever the romantic at heart, beamed at her words, reinforcing his belief that pairing her with Ridge was a stroke of genius, the best call I've ever made. Sources close to the Forrester patriarch suggest he's not just playing PR strategist, he's actively rooting for a Brooke-Ridge reunion, believing their bond could heal old wounds within the family while boosting the company's image. Eric even hinted to Brooke about a future event where he envisioned them collaborating again, perhaps on a legacy collection that celebrates their shared history. Later, as Brooke sat alone in her dressing room, surrounded by wilting bouquets from admirers, she murmured to herself that the day was etched in my heart forever, a poignant sign that she's far from ready to close the chapter on Ridge. Her lingering gaze on a framed photo of their past runway moments, dusted off from a hidden drawer, only deepened the sense that Brooke is poised to fight for what she felt on that stage. Ridge's inner turmoil, torn between two loves. Caught in the eye of this emotional hurricane is Ridge Forrester, a man who's no stranger to being pulled between Brooke and Taylor. When Taylor confronted him post-show in his office, her tone sharp but measured, Ridge was quick to deflect responsibility. "I had no say in it, Taylor, it was all Eric's idea, just a dress, nothing deeper," he insisted, his hands gesturing dismissively as if to wave away the tension. He doubled down by reminding Taylor of their own storied past, saying, "We've built just as much together, maybe more," before pulling her into a reassuring kiss and whispering a heartfelt "I love you." But the second Taylor stepped out, Ridge's mask slipped. Alone with his thoughts, he leaned back in his chair, a faraway look in his eyes as his mind replayed Brooke's graceful descent down the runway, her smile locking with his in a moment that felt like time had stopped. Insiders note that Ridge lingered longer than usual at the venue that night, pacing the empty catwalk as if wrestling with unspoken desires. His conflicted heart is evident to those who know him best. A longtime assistant remarked that Ridge seemed distracted, almost haunted in the days following the show, often staring at sketches of the showstopper gown with an unreadable expression. Eric's scheme might be hitting its mark, stirring feelings Ridge may have suppressed for years, even as he clings to his commitment to Taylor. Backstage whispers, new romances and old rivalries. While the main stage was dominated by the Brooke-Ridge-Taylor saga, the backstage area buzzed with its own undercurrents of drama and potential romance. Katie Logan, always sharp-eyed when it comes to Forrester gossip, spotted an intriguing interaction between Daphne Rose, a rising star in the design team, and Carter Walton, the company's steadfast COO. The pair was tucked away in a dimly lit corner near the costume racks, Daphne's hand gently brushing Carter's cheek as she leaned in with a playful laugh, their chemistry undeniable. This unexpected flirtation could complicate things further, especially given Carter's history of tangled relationships within the Forrester orbit. Could Daphne be the breath of fresh air he needs, or just another heartbreak waiting to happen? Meanwhile, a lighter note emerged with Will Spencer and Electra Forrester, whose youthful connection offered a welcome reprieve from the heavier drama. The two were seen chatting animatedly with Spencer and Heidi, a duo of visiting fashion influencers, who couldn't stop praising Elektra's innovative jewelry designs, particularly a delicate choker made of recycled materials that symbolized sustainability, a cause close to her heart. Their sweet banter and shared glances hinted at a budding romance, a tender contrast to the stormy emotions elsewhere. Will even gifted Elektra a small sketch of her choker design framed in a tiny keepsake box, a gesture that made her blush as Heidi snapped a photo for her blog, captioning it "Young Love in Bloom." The road ahead, alliances, conflicts, and unanswered questions. As the dust settles from the fashion show, the reverberations are only beginning to be felt at Forrester Creations. Brooke's admission of renewed feelings for Ridge, coupled with Ridge's visible turmoil despite his assurances to Taylor, sets the stage for another chapter in their epic love triangle. Eric's unabashed support for Brooke, paired with his strategic meddling, has drawn a clear line in the sand, one that Steffi is unlikely to ignore. Her simmering anger at her grandfather's actions, evident in her sharp exchanges with staff about family loyalty, suggests she might take drastic steps to shield Taylor from another round of heartache, perhaps by rallying allies within the company to counter Eric's influence. Taylor herself remains a wild card. If she uncovers the depth of Ridge's wavering emotions, perhaps through an overheard conversation or a misplaced glance at his desk sketches, her response could range from quiet resignation to fierce confrontation. The press continues to laud the show as a triumph, with glossy magazines dubbing it Forrester's rebirth, but beneath the surface glamour lies a family on the brink. Will Steffi's protectiveness over Taylor clash with Eric's vision for Brooke? How will emerging connections like Daphne and Carter's flirtation or Will and Elektra's sweetness impact the larger dynamics? One thing is crystal clear: at Forrester Creations, every stitch of fabric and every whispered secret is laced with drama, and the fallout from this runway bombshell is only just beginning to unravel. Stay tuned, B&B fans, as we watch this saga weave its next intricate pattern.